Hey, honey.
What's up, baby?
What are we talking about?
So, basically, we're going to be talking about Cuomo again because...
Question, I'm sorry.
What's that?
We didn't do the subscribe, share, the last one, but that's okay because they don't like the subscribe or share anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. Hey, honey.
Like, comment, subscribe, share, reshare.
No, come on, they don't fuck.
What's up, baby?
What we doing?
So today we're going to be talking about Cuomo again. Because we have a Cuomo video, but we spoke about him before he announced his resignation. And then now that he has announced his resignation, he made a speech. He put his 2 weeks in, and he's going to be leaving. So basically, as a follow-up to that video, I think we talked about is sexual harassment more prevalent now, or what's going on? How come we're hearing about it so much? So basically, Cuomo said in his resignation speech something along the lines of, it's a cultural and generational gap.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand how far the line had been redrawn as far as hugging and kissing.
Pinching ass.
Yeah, rubbing thighs and putting your hand up people's blouses. He didn't really know.
Putting your hand down before they said
that you could,
those little things.
That you couldn't do that no more, where you get in the door for a young lady. He's like, whoa, let me help you there. You good? Rub her lower back you good? Don't stress yourself. He didn't know you couldn't do that anymore. So he said that
changing and he didn't notice.
He hugs and kisses everybody, men and women. There's a conversation to be had about gender-based doings of that, which I take issue with, because it's don't hug and kiss me neither, bro.
Well, he's old Italian dude, though.
Well, that's what he's saying. I'm old, I'm Italian, we hug and we kiss everybody. It's nothing to it.
You've seen The Godfather.
I don't think Cuomo's been Italian for, how old is this man? 60 something. He hasn't been Italian in 40 years.
He's Italian now.
But basically that's what his defense is. So my thing is, the question is that real? Is that a real thing?
Man.
Is that a real thing? Should we forgive him for that? Should we be okay? Because we touched on it a little bit in our last video. He touched on it a little bit. He only touched on it a little bit. Sorry. We talked about it a little bit in our last video where we said I was like, there's a conversation to be had where people say, oh, I'm old, I didn't really know.
What side was that on last?
You said hell no. You were like, you said it in the baby video too, where
He's
you're
too grown to not know?
Yeah,
okay.
Grow up, son.
Okay,
Just because you grew up this way or whatever,
okay.
you've only known this for your whole life, that's not a real.
Okay.
So basically, just repeat that same thing.
No, I'm getting soft. I love Cuomo.
Oh no.
I love him.
He loves you too?
He does. Come here, sugar. No, okay, so going off of my last point, it is not okay for adults, especially adult men, to say that they don't know, that some things are not okay. You are the governor of New York. You cannot be that out of touch. I love that we keep saying touch. That out of touch to not understand that times are changing around you. If you are not sharp enough to realize that times are changing and that you're not able to do those types of things, why are you running New York? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know old people take naps, but you were asleep during the whole Me Too movement. You didn't see this whole discourse people have been having for what is it, 3-4 years?
Yeah,
now?
You got the Me Too movement. You have just like, you can't tell me they're not making people in his line of work take those sexual harassment courses.
Absolutely.
Like, this is an absolute thing. It's a huge change that's happened in our country in the last couple of years or so, where they're taking sexual assault in the workplace or just in general really, really seriously. Excuse me. And it's not like he's saying, it's not a family member that said, like, hey, I'm tired of him kissing me, or an ex-girlfriend. Like, these are his employees that are saying, you know what, he's too touchy. And you can't tell me you didn't know that was okay.
He said, oh, my sense of humor is, you know, a little bit too friendly. I'm a little bit too friendly. It's a generational thing.
Again, and I don't know if I said this in the last video or not, but I feel as though if you put yourself in a situation that, even if it's innocent, may be misconstrued as something else, you're still wrong. So even if he told, like, oh, Carmen, like, that dress looked great on you, like, man, you like that color, man, that color, can't get over that color, and she was offended by it, yes, it was completely innocent, but he should know better, is all. Like, he put himself in a situation that made women feel uncomfortable, and they're not wrong for saying, like, hey, this is my boss. This is a job for these women.
Yeah.
They're not Cuomo. That's just Carmen from HR. You know, these are just regular women that are trying to work a regular job, and they were made to feel uncomfortable in the workplace. So no, it's not okay. Do I think he's a predator? No.
But not only that, though, and we'll revisit what you just said, but, like, not only that, these women not only said, like, Cuomo's making me feel uncomfortable, they said it's a toxic work environment. They said that, like, multiple people in that office made them feel uncomfortable, and that it just wasn't a good environment. So, like, that's the bigger point, where it's like, if you're a boss and some other,
like a boss,
the other dudes that work for you see you going around rubbing on butts and pinching cheeks and kissing women and doing all that stuff. What kind of environment does that set when, like, it's the same kind of people don't realize that, like, there's no such thing as a jail environment. Like, there's no such thing as jail culture or prison culture. There is. People say prison culture and stuff.
No, I'm not saying you're making it up. I'm saying, like, I've never heard it before.
Yeah, but, like, what happens in prison is what happens when you put people close together in a locked environment, where, like, the rules of the building dictate how people are going to be. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's like, if I lock you in an office building, in a school, in a stadium, supermarket, whatever, if I put you in a building for most of your day, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, sometimes overtime, 6 days a week, you know what I mean? Like, if you're constantly going to this place, and once you're set foot in there, the rules of that place are the rules of your life. However the person up here runs it, the things that they let slide, people are gonna indulge in, you know what I mean? Like, whatever they look the other way on, people are gonna overstep and take more and take more. So if you're coming in and you're doing these things, you're setting the tone for the other people to be like, look, like, this is cool, and look at her reaction. Like, she's not even gonna say anything if you do that. Like, oh, room full of dudes, I'm gonna rub on her butt, like, and then everybody's looking. It's like, yo, did he just do that? And she's just like, haha, Cuomo, you so silly. And he's like, damn, if that old dude could,
it's that easy. You
know what I mean? So, like, that's what happens. That's what I was saying with, like, prison and stuff. People are like, oh, prisoners act a certain way, or, like, you go to prison and you know drop the soap, whatever. But it's like, only if that is the culture, the tone that's set by the place. The same way, if you work for Apple or whatever in these Fortune 500 Silicon Valley companies, where they're always accused of rampant sexual harassment and, like, man culture, where dudes go around and they're talking about how many women I did this and whatever, and, like, taking drugs right in the office place and stuff like that. Like, if that's the culture of the building, the people who want to indulge in that are going to overindulge in that.
Yeah.
And the people who don't want to are not going to go against the norm. You know, who wants to be the one person to stand up and be like, yo, can y'all put the damn cocaine away? Can we can we make this software, please?
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to go home to my family. Like, no one's going to be, they're either going to take the drugs or not take the drugs and then shut up about it. So, like, that's the real issue. When these people act ignorant, like, oh, I just didn't know, it's a generational thing or whatever, and they're like sleazy and they're doing things that they know they shouldn't be doing, it's like your people are gonna follow suit, and then you're creating an atmosphere where those people are gonna victimize these women because they're not gonna talk against, you know, the norm. The norm.
Yeah.
Like, men outnumber women in these fields like 20-1 or whatever. Like, who's gonna be the one woman to go up against the 20 dudes who are cool with it?
Yeah.
Whether it's tech, whether it's politics, whether it's, you know, where, like, look at the fields that this stuff happens in. It's all the fields where women are minority.
Yeah.
Like, you don't hear it nearly as much in like teaching, or on the contrary, I feel like with teaching you hear about women predators way more than you hear about men predators.
When it comes to the kids.
When it comes to the children, but
well,
I'm saying like
the teenage boys, not the.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like the women have the power in that field. They're the ones abusing their power and overstepping.
Because they're the educator versus the minor. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean like because people don't usually have like the men teachers with the kids kind of thing going on.
I think a good point, if this is not what you're trying to make, is the fact that whoever is the majority, they tend to abuse their power.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, in a teaching aspect, women are the majority, but also they're abusing their power in the sense of what
on
they
the
do
weaker.
with kids.
Okay.
Yeah, like they're using their power for whoever's weaker and whoever's a minority.
Yeah.
So, like if a woman teacher has the power, then it's like, who could I objectify?
And
other man teachers, like, not really, because it's an adult. So am I really that much more powerful than them? Probably not. But teachers are not on trial here. I do completely agree. I think that was an awesome point that you made, that it's a toxic work environment just in general, and you can't say that you didn't know.
Come on.
Like, you gotta feel it. And my thing is, again, if he genuinely did not know and he did not feel any of it, then that means this man has no like self-awareness. Seriously.
And then, like, why is he a governor?
Like, why is he a governor if you have no self-awareness? You cannot tell me that every time you hug these women and you touch their lower back that they did not cringe, that they did not back up, that they told you that they didn't want to hug. Oh, COVID, they were probably very excited to have to social distance with this man. Why don't you feel that? As a man who's supposed to be able to read other people and do a lot of good things for the city of New York, why are you not able to read the room and read that women don't want to have closed-door meetings with you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you got women that when you go to hug them, they give you the awkward ass out. Like, why don't you realize? Like, there are times when I've hugged somebody that I've felt like, oh, that wasn't a good hug. Like, I wondered, like, am I sweaty? You know what I mean? Like, you got to be able to read the room and have self-awareness to say, like, yo, something might be wrong here. And I don't know how many years he did this, but he didn't know. He knew, he just didn't care.
Yeah.
He knew that it was a generational gap and that was an argument that he could get away with, honestly. Because you got old dudes now that are pinching nurses' butts in the nursing homes, and you can't say, oh, I just didn't know, because back in my day, like, no, back in your day, you were allowed to pinch women's asses. Like,
what are you
when
saying?
is that a thing?
When was that a thing?
When was that a thing? Like, he's Italian.
Explain to me, Cuomo, the year where you could just...
He's Italian. He likes to hug and kiss people when he sees them. You're going to tell me he met his receptionist and said, hey, how are you, babe? And walked off, and she was like, oh my God. Like, that's not what you did. That's not what you did, and you know that's not what you did. You put your hand on the small of her back. You said that, like, her breasts looked really, really big in that dress. Like, you said things that were inappropriate. Because how many people have we met that you could be like, it's because he's old, but it's not necessarily making you feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean? If an old Italian dude came up to me and was just like, oh, thank you so much for your help, hon, and gave me a double kiss, I'd be like, it's because he's old. No one does that anymore. But I wouldn't sit there and be like, he sexually assaulted me. There's a difference.
You can read a lot, especially when you're the victim. You can read a lot into somebody's intention.
Yeah.
Like if somebody, like, even if they think they're being slick, and this is why people always try to, like, go back and explain it away for the victims. Like, oh no, he probably just didn't realize how close he was being or whatever. when you're in the situation, you know when someone knows that they're too close.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Come on.
You know what you're doing.
Come on.
And if you don't know what you're doing, then you shouldn't be running.
And they know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like the people who are the victims of this, they know exactly what went on. So it's not us to be like, no, maybe it's just because he's old and Italian. Like, bro, I'm telling you, he rubbed my ass. Like, I know he knows what he did.
Absolutely. Or like, how many times have you been speaking to a customer? This is pre-COVID and probably now again, but they get close to you and you're like, they're like, oh, do you sell toilet paper? And you're like, let me see, do I sell? Actually, and they're like, you do? And it's like, why don't you notice that I'm backing up from you? Or on the flip side, you get the dude that goes like, do you know? And you take a step and they go, oh, I'm sorry. And you're like, no, it's cool, it's cool. That's the normal reaction. The normal reaction is like, oh, my bad, like, COVID, totally forgot. But you get those weird people that genuinely just do not know. That's not Cuomo.
But then they're not governors.
They're not governors.
And they should not be governors.
And they should not be governors.
I would not elect that person.
They should not be governors. But Cuomo is the dude that takes a step forward and you take this step back and he watches you take this step back and go, let me see if I do it again. And that's the problem. It's like, you know what you're doing. You know that you've made these women feel uncomfortable. And I don't think he was grabbing their breasts. Like, I don't think he was cornering them.
I think one of the women said he put his hands up her blouse. Like, he put his hand up her blouse. Babe, the allegations are crazy. It's not just all little wacky misunderstandings of, like, his penis brushed up against my leg, maybe. Like, no, they're talking... I'm going to bleep that out. Don't worry about it.
Anyway, put her hands... Where's my phone?
There's allegations.
Cut it! Sexual predator.
So Ash just finished reading the allegations, and
a lot of them were these wacky little mishaps, though.
So okay,
the rest are alleged.
Okay, all of it's alleged, but like, come on, there's witnesses to this stuff. But
I think I'm flip flopping like crazy on this.
So a lot of it was that generational. I'm just a dirty old man making jokes to make. No, don't do that. Just to make you uncomfortable to see how you react because like I'm a boy and that's what boys do. You know what I mean? Like they go over and they flick your elbow and they be like, Justin, stop it. But it's like you're not 8 anymore, Cuomo. You know?
It was just a lot of this is him testing the waters to see how far these women would let him go, and a lot of them shrugged it off, and that's part of the problem. But I get that it was a culture where you don't want to go against the norm and be the one to be like, you know what, I don't like when Cuomo puts his hand on the small of my back.
But let's talk about how come it's men talking about, oh, back in my day you could say things like that. It's just a quirky little funny joke. But women aren't really saying that. Like, where did that even come from? You know what I mean?
Men making women feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, where we're saying like older men can go around and like young girls and be like, oh, look, my dog, he really likes you. I guess he smells something he likes, haha. And like that's
because, and I don't know if you want to cut what I said before in this one, but men are entitled and they have designed this system to always be the majority and to always have the power. And like you said, in these offices, it's 30 men to 10 women, and they're just dirtbags, honestly. Like, not all men in general, but this is what men do. They come together and they have that bro culture of like, you know, let's be whoever it is we want to be and who's going to stop us. And that's
but you know what? You know what's the craziest and maybe
women are
possibly
putting their hands on the smalls of men's backs.
Women have put their hands on the small of my back.
Who? Customers?
I'll tell you all about
Oh Lord.
No, I'm joking. That's never happened to me.
Do you have a small of your back?
I don't think I
do. You don't have no waist.
There's no small of my back.
Your back is like this. Your back is straight.
You know what's the worst and possibly the worst thing about it too is like men also do this to each other though.
Make each other feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
They push the limits.
Like when it's a bunch of men in a sauna or a locker room or something like that, they be whipping each other with towels. Like this borderline, like I'm gonna do something strange just to get a rise out of you. It's like a weird, like I said, like boys flicking girls' ears at 8 years old, just so they be like, stop it, quit it, and start yelling and like I didn't even do anything. Like, but it's like why don't you grow up out of that? Like, how come? Why is it okay that we allow men to carry that through until they're 60 years old, getting in trouble for sexual harassment because it's just like, oh no, I just said if I was a dog, then I'd love to, whatever. Like, that's ridiculous.
The dog jumped up on the woman, and he was like, "Can you blame him? If I was a dog, I'd like to mount you too." And it's like, what? Why? Like, we're in a meeting.
Like, yo,
why would you say that?
Governor, you're on at 5. Like, oh, all right, I'll be right there.
For some reason,
it's that boy mentality. I'm telling you, but it's like they do it to each other too.
I think
they'll be like, "Oh, you looking kind of cute today, David," and it's like, "Yo, come on, bro, what's up with that?" And it's
they
like,
I'm just playing with you. Each other, and they do it to women because they can. Because it's
a privilege of just walking around being like
being whoever it is you want to be, because it's a man's privilege to just say whatever and to know that like you might be okay.
And
like,
there's no repercussions.
There's never any repercussions.
Like, oh, it's just boys being boys.
Yeah, like, because I have a female manager right now, and if she were to say something to make anybody feel uncomfortable, it would be like, you know, like when the record goes, like everybody would just be like, what did she say? And it would be this entire big deal. But I'm 28, I've been working since I was 16, in my 12 years of working, I've dozens of men in the workplace to just say whatever.
Yeah.
Just to see what happens.
Even me, I've seen it.
Oh, just that you've said stuff. I'm like,
no. I've seen it, and I would never. Like, to me, that doesn't even make logical sense. Like, yo, I'm not gonna put myself in a position where like I say something crazy.
That's because you refuse to be social in the workplace.
I don't talk to nobody. I leave those people alone.
But for somebody who like is a social butterfly at work and wants to be everybody's friend and wants to say hi to every single person, I have never seen a cute employee and been like, damn, like, why would you do that? Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
No. Like, even that is like, yo,
I've done that.
Keep that to yourself.
Ponytail, like, I've done that. No, that's not sexual harassment. What I'm saying is, as a woman,
you don't know.
Ponytail.
I mean, people saying,
take
like,
things all kinds of ways. What I'm saying
is, you never
is,
know how the person's gonna receive whatever, even if that's your excuse. Like, oh, I kiss everybody. Like, you can't kiss everybody on the face.
Yes,
but you don't know how people are gonna take it.
He's been doing it for how many years and never got in any trouble for that. Like, men obviously.
Because the line has been redrawn. He's right. But,
yeah, it's different now.
But it's different because it's not like people have never felt this way and now all of a sudden people are feeling this way and he had no idea. Yeah. They've always felt this way. Just they were not as comfortable to come out and say stuff about it as they are now.
Yeah.
And that's what we touched on in our last Cuomo video. Sorry. That's what we
talked about.
That's what we spoke about in our last Cuomo video, where it's like, yes, the line has been redrawn. Yes, women are more empowered to come out and talk about it, but these feelings are not new. Mm-hmm. And you know that. Mm-hmm. Like, and
final thoughts. I got mine already.
Yeah, my final thought, keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah.
These jokes where it's like, oh, what you doing tonight? Man, woman, whatever. You shouldn't be saying stuff like that because you know the intent behind the jokes, the intent behind the little maneuvers and whatever is to see what you can get away with or see if you can get a rise out of that person and see what they're going to react to your clearly like inappropriate, like, you know, it's not appropriate for the environment and that's the excitement to like do it and see like, oh, we're in a business meeting, but like I'm gonna rub on her back. Let's see how she takes that. Like,
like stop testing the waters.
Stop testing the waters because like you're gonna create an environment that makes those people uncomfortable. And if you're not a predator, you're gonna make an environment that fosters predators, that makes predators feel comfortable. To where like this is how this stuff gets overrun. This is how these fields get overrun with predators. Where, you know, we're hearing about it in the churches. Like, that's why the predators are, it's not like the church breeds predators. They just know that it's an environment that, like, they can feel comfortable in.
Yeah.
So, like, that's why we find so many predators in the churches, in Silicon Valley, in politics, in schools. You know what I mean? Like, we just gotta, this is the appropriate reaction. Even if it is harmless old man not knowing that he can't do that, we're gonna tell you. And we're gonna force you to stop doing that, push you out of office or whatever we need to do, just so that the real predators know you can't come here and feel comfortable.
Yeah. My final thoughts is just
and I just want to say, I love the fact that out of this whole thing, New York now has its first female governor of all time.
That's amazing.
That's so funny.
What an awesome outcome.
Like out of like this man doing all this stuff and women making their voices heard, they got a woman into the office. And she for her part, someone asked her in the interview, like, oh, what are you going to say since you were part of Cuomo's, because she's Cuomo's lieutenant governor. Mm-hmm. It's like, since you were part of Cuomo's office or cabinet or administration, mm-hmm. since you were part of Cuomo's administration, what would you say to those people that said that in his administration it's a toxic work environment? She said, I stayed away from him. I didn't work closely with him. But when I get there, I'm going to make sure that no one ever says that about my administration, that it's a toxic work environment. Mm-hmm. And those people that made it a toxic work environment, they're leaving. Yeah. And then someone asked her another question, like follow-up question to clarify on that. She said, no one that's being accused of making it a toxic work environment is going to stay in my administration. Yeah. So she's getting in there and she's firing anyone who ever even... For a second was just like, oh, he's a predator too. Like, hey, he's gone. Yeah. She's gone. They're gone.
My final thoughts. It's just like a word of advice to everyone. So like you and I obviously are complete opposites when it comes to the workplace. I am somebody who believes in creating a family in the workplace, and I feel as though if I have to spend 50 hours of my week with you people, I should get to know you guys, and to me, it's a more pleasant work environment if we are a little bit more friendly than just 100% professional at all times. So I get that. And I've laughed at hundreds of these inappropriate, sometimes somewhat sexual, or just like not funny, or just offensive types of jokes, because no one wants to be the one to be like, you know what, that's not cool. But with all that's happening in the world right now, I'm able to see this through new eyes, and just my word of advice would be to these people who are not necessarily predators, but that do kind of push the limits and make these types of jokes, to just be mindful that no one wants to create a toxic work environment or an environment where people can't feel comfortable. Yeah. And these jokes are not funny.
And if you're really a good person...
I'm making final thoughts. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just so sorry. I had 2 Red Bulls today. Go ahead.
And if you're really a good person, then you don't want to create that type of...
Yeah, like if you're a good person, you have a good heart and you have a good soul, then you would never want to make someone feel uncomfortable or victimized, you know? And I feel like a lot of these people are not sexual predators. A lot of these people are not people who want to hurt anybody. They're just people that can't control the jokes that they want to make, or think their jokes are so funny that they can't keep them to themselves, or have no real filter between their brain and their mouth. So whatever thing, like a girl will bend over to pick something up and they want to be like, they don't have that in their head to be like, I probably shouldn't say something, this is my job. All this stuff is catching up to people, honestly, and I think if anyone has any sense and to see what's going on in the world, if Cuomo is forced to resign over something like this, you will get yourself fired if you work in a regular place and you're making people feel uncomfortable. Women, men, hey, I love that shirt on you, but it's a little tight. Like, oh, is it cold in here? Because I can see, like, anything like that at all. And these are just basic things that we've all heard. It's not worth your job. Yeah. I'm sorry for yelling.
It's all good. What do you want to say to the people?
I had 2 Red Bulls and a coffee today.
Okay. Do you want to say anything else to the people?
Like, share, join the conversation. Every time I go to say that, I roll my eyes because we're not getting the type of feedback that we were hoping for, just as far as the conversation. I think people love our videos and they watch them and they go, they're all right. And then close their phone and go to sleep.
We are getting some comments.
Shout out to Cindy.
Thank you to my sister.
Shout out to Cindy. I think that our channel is his sister's favorite channel. Like, she watches us like the way we watch Racing Canaan. Like, she will tune in all the time, and we appreciate all of the feedback. She leaves multiple comments on every video now, and she watches every single one, and we appreciate the love and the support. And if we could get more Cindy's, the world would be a better place. Would you like that? You want to go to Starbucks?
Yeah, let's go. Cuomo.
Why would you do that? Where were you going to cut it at? Holy hell.